All right, thank you very much, Lindy, for those headlines. Of course, those news there rounding up a very, very hectic political weekend. We thought we'll end it with a fireside chat, what we used to refer to as Umhabu, from our elder here, Tokyo Sexwale. Sexwale, thank you so much for honoring us with your presence.
Thank you for inviting me, JJ.
As we've been talking over the last couple of weeks, I was wondering at what point you'll agree to come and talk to me, you know. But the last week, the whole country has been talking about the state of our nation. Where are we as a nation? And I want you to help us just through history. And I'm going to give you time to do this, to say, if you look at what you fought for, right, the settlement of '94, and fast forward 25 years, how would you sum up, right, the trajectory of progress, right, based on what we intended to do, both when we launched the ANC in 1912 and when we went to Cape Town to say the people shall govern?
Do you want the true state of the nation or a diplomatic one?
No. Diplomacy, no, it doesn't. It has been banned on this show. I thought you know. Give it to me raw and straight.
JJ, but thanks for inviting.
Yeah.
And let's treat this as a conversation.
Absolutely.
But it should be on your side as robust as possible.
Sure.
So make it free for all. With these eyes of yours that like penetrating us in the country.
You mean they don't see?
Yes.
Yeah.
We need this penetration.
Yeah.
The sharp eyes into our living rooms, into our bedrooms, into our homes, and so on. To ask questions. Because that's all you can do.
Absolutely.
To provoke thinking, discussions, to try to find solutions, way forward for our own. It's our country after all, we must speak about.
We've got no other home.
There's no other. The state of the nation is not the preserve of an individual. What you see in Parliament as SONA is the privilege which the President gets after applying to Parliament, that I would like to come and tell you what my view is, because he accounts to Parliament. He's elected in Parliament, but then soon thereafter he resigns. And after resigning, he goes to Pretoria, Union Buildings. That's where he belongs. And comes back to ask for space and time to brief the nation about his government, which some of the people he chose from Parliament, about how he's going to spend the budget, which is a key instrument of governance. He accounts, and then he gives his view about the state of the nation. But it's a very limited view, because it's about governance and about the budget. The nation is much bigger than Parliament. And of course the President tries to touch that. But essentially it's about this budget. It's about raising funds, and it's about spending funds, which he has raised in two ways. One, from the people, like you and I, taxes. And the second and only other way is borrowings. So he tells us what he's going to do in terms of health, education, housing, police, all those type of things. He's the president who comes from the ANC, an organization that was formed in 1912 for what? So that we can have national self-determination. People should have the right to determine their future. Long story cut short, we wrote a document in 1955. By all South Africans who were present deep down, this is the vision for the future. Okay, this country must belong to all who live in it. We want to call it home, without any distinguishment of color. That's what we said. And then we set out programs of how, or what those things are. You know, people should govern. That's not a small statement. The people should govern, not individuals. Because we have a situation where politicians, from the president down, whichever the president is, to the local people, elected, and they think suddenly they are no longer servants of people. They are bosses. That is where the problem starts. Okay, when you say the people shall govern, it should really indeed be the voice of the people governing through you. But something changes, and that's where things begin to go wrong. Shall share in the country's wealth. You've got to find modalities. You had Friedman, the professor, in school here. People were talking. I'm sure I couldn't hear what they were saying because we're in the car. The country's wealth must be shared. Nowhere in the world, JJ, will you ever find the majority of the people being excluded from the center stage of their own economy. If you violate that...
Even after they have taken over political power.
This is it. I'm one of those people who were part of the taking over political power. So where are we insofar as the people are governing and the people sharing? These are two basic, the most basic cardinal points of the Freedom Charter. And then, of course, national cohesion. We've got to bring the people together to create one undivided South Africa, a national state, a democratic state, a non-sexist state, United States, and a prosperous one. There are some of the things in the Freedom Charter, blah, 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 but most critically, to address the crime number one. Okay? When white people came here, our own people today, but they didn't come as friends. Today we're a family. And let's not forget that. When they came here, the first thing they took was our birthright. Every nation, every people have got a right of their birth. That is your land.
Your land.
The first means of capital, before you talk about finance, assets and so on. The first asset is this one. And that's where the bone of contention is today. So when you're saying sharing on the basis of this land...
Why is it that when the central pillar of why we existed as a liberation movement was land, and you are describing it so well as a birthright, you're locating it so well as something that was taken away. And earlier on in the day I was talking about cultural activism, and I say the first decimation of culture was the land to be taken away. I asked the question, when they took all of us and put us in 13% of the land, when we used to own 100, what happens to the graves of our ancestors in this part?
JJ,
so the question is that I want you to focus on pointedly. Why, in your view then, did we not insist in 94 that this is a deal breaker, this is a land right, it's got to be sorted out, not later on as an afterthought, but as a central resolution of CODESA?
Dead right you are, because crime number one in this country is the crime of land dispossession. The fundamental breakup of the human rights of people. That's why de Klerk, the statement that he issued about crimes and so on, he did himself one of the biggest disservices. Somebody that we trusted, we worked with, we did all sorts of things. So let's go back to the compromise that was done with this man who became our deputy president.
Yes.
I worked with him, not just in government. When we were still in prison, as Mandela was beginning to say, let's open talks about talks. These were not negotiations. Urging them, let's come and talk. It was the Groot Crocodile, the butcher of our people, okay? And then it became de Klerk. Read his book. I'm part of the people that he called to come and discuss what he was discussing with de Klerk. So that's when we met de Klerk for the first time, face to face, shortly after he had become the leader of the National Party, and then, of course, he took over as president. We discussed him on Robben Island, in prison, 10 of us, called by Mandela to be briefed about what he was discussing with Mr. de Klerk, how to unravel the whole apartheid thing and to start a new dispensation. We trusted him at that time because we were addressing a crime that he pretends today he didn't know. He didn't know. You see, Comrade Tabane was very diplomatic.
Yeah, it was very nice.
Very, very nice.
If not sarcastic. I'll send you the convention.
I saw, it's not Taba's job to send this man the convention of what the world said. Resolution 556 of the United Nations General Assembly, of Security Council, which is law now, makes it very, very clear. A crime happened here. De Klerk talks about wrong. It's wrong, and he sounds, very strong. I condemn this. But he calls it a wrong. It's also wrong to do certain things. This was not just a wrong. It is a crime. But in any case, we discussed how to partner with this person in negotiations so that we can resolve South Africa's, at that time, intricate national problem. Because we're headed towards a bloody war, towards its end. Okay, and many people, you know, it's nice today when we are not there.
Yeah.
People are dying in thousands.
Hindsight.
It's true. When you are not one of the people who died or your family lost people, you think it was just a, you know, a play thing. We're dealing with people here whom we had not defeated on the battlefield.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm a soldier. As an activist of the ANC, I understand what we involved. People died around us.
Yeah.
We're confronted with people who are still armed heavily, especially with nuclear weapons. That's what
they could destroy us all.
That's the evil of apartheid. They had gone as far as, you know, splitting the atom to threaten this continent and to bring us all in blood. We urge them to say, look at the future. Look at your children. Look at your people. Look at this guy. And if indeed you want to be great patriots together, let's do what we did. Now, the compromise at Kodesa.
Yeah.
We had been very, very clear. At Kodesa, you know, people like, Mandela sold out. It's very easy to play. Of course, that's the majority of people. It's people who feel like that. But let me correct their view. Kodesa was a negotiation center. Outside of that, it was either we go out with blazing guns, and the bodies were piling up. A number of massacres happened with Badong whilst Kodesa was happening. People were being killed, Zonki's, the Polar Park, here in this province, and of course KZN. So Kodesa was where we're trying to plug the blood.
Sure.
Now, because we're not defeated the apartheid army on the battlefield, we changed tactics. That's just a tactical thing. So that we've got to put our hands on political power. We just came from exile, from underground, from prison. We reformed the people's movement. So the most critical thing was not to take any other power, political power, so that we can take over parliament, government for the people, people shall govern, the cabinets, various provinces, cities and so on, prisons, the army, the police. Those are elements of political power.
Yes.
Tactically, we said, let's get this thing with as much limited bloodshed as possible. It doesn't mean there was no bloodshed. In the middle of negotiations,
there were.
Thousands of people died. Yes. Now, it's not that Kodesa was a certain nice place, people drinking tea. There were bodies piling up. I buried more than 10,000 people in this province. So the leader of the province where Kodesa was taking place, and people were dying like flies. In what today Mr. de Klerk wants to convince us was black versus black. When it was this white government, this racist government, that was spearheading this thing, giving guns to other blacks to murder other blacks. Sure. The story is known. It was accepted, it was settled. It's a Goldstone Commission. It's well known. To try to rewrite that history is just disingenuous. In any case, it was a responsibility as leaders to plug the blood and to give our people a chance. Massacres have been happening, but the target was political power. With political power, once you've got parliament, you can make the laws, you can change them, you've got government, you've got cabinets, you've got the police, you've got the administration. Now that those elements of political power have to be used as they are worldwide to transform the country. That's why, and people must pay attention to this. Had we left that constitution in such a way, the new constitution, it can't be amended, it's done. The done deal is closed. Yeah. That's when we would have been accused of having sold out.
So we left the door open.
The door was open. It was opened by Mandela's leadership. We leave this door open so that we can continue to amend this constitution to achieve our objectives, one of which, and cardinal one, is land. Now, we have let our guards down. This land thing should have been done as quickly as after taking political power. Seems that we relaxed, enjoyed parliament, enjoyed government, and put this thing on the back burner. It's coming on the front burner today because people are demanding that. So we must own up, and the ANC has been big enough to accept that, you know, there's a missed opportunity here. So when we now try to do it, look, even the U.S. Secretary of State today, Pompeo, you know, with such cheek, and the people who opposed us, by the way, that resolution, 556 of the United Nations Security Council, was unanimously adopted by all members. Only one country stood against that resolution that apartheid is a crime against humanity. It was the United States of America. This one which calls people like myself and make it difficult terrorists.
Terrorists. But you are listed there to say...
Still listed. Still listed. And this is the government of Pompey.
Terrible.
Now, today, this man says, if we touch land, so you can see where we come from.
Yeah.
If we touch land, it's an abomination. So we must know that United States, this particular government, as others did, whilst we even liberation movement, are still going to interfere. So don't think that the battle goes away.
Yeah.
It's going to be a very serious battle, a tough one, because some white right-wingers recently met this terrible right-winger, Bolton.
Yes.
At the time, I think, National Security Advisor of Donald Trump. And they got kudos that the whites are dying here. So Pompey is proceeding
carrying on that narrative.
I'm saying, therefore, these are the people who did this now. It's a missed opportunity and we have lost time.
Yeah.
This land thing.
Why this omission, though? Let's go to it. Why this, in your view, why this omission? Because, especially because this was at the center. You've described it well. You say this was the cardinal crime of land dispossession. Right? So if you are dealing with the cardinal crime, yes, you are allowed to be tactical in terms of saying, phase one, we take over political power, but phase two, we have to take over economic power. Why, in your view, was there such a big omission? Were we simply confused by the trappings of now suddenly being in charge, when in fact, fundamentally, we're still not in charge of the means of production, the economy itself? No
nation can ever succeed when the bulk of its population, especially this racial thing in South Africa, are not part of the center stage of the economy. We miss an opportunity, and we must own up. We must own up to the fact that the land thing, the land deal, should long have been undertaken. As we're talking about empowerment, economic, and of course, the white community at that time, those who owned real land, were ready at that time, because they had their backs on the wall.
Yeah.
Okay, they were ready at that time, realizing that, the aspirations of the black majority of this country are at the door.
Absolutely.
We let people relax.
Yeah.
That's why we're having this pushback against us today. But however, it's lost time. We've got to rectify this. It's time to do this thing, and as the president and other people say, it must be done in such a way that we don't wreck the country. But it's something that must be done.
Yeah.
There's a lost opportunity, but we can still rectify the situation.
Yeah. There seems to have been an overall idea of what we wanted to do, but a lack of follow-through. In other words, Mandela was saying, let's do reconciliation. You talked about how to take over power, but actually, his first agenda in the first 5 years was to bring the country together, so that by the time Thabo Mbeki's regime came that says, now transform, now arrest the economy, it has a soft landing. Do you think that what de Klerk has done this past week, right, has put that first cushion or foundation that Mandela was trying to put in place in a bit of a reverse gear? And in your view, what could be the implications of that in terms of the current project that's facing us, which is to restore land to the people?
De Klerk betrayed the essence of the partnership that we offered at that time. He got a Nobel Prize for this. Some of us were not happy with that, but we were convinced at the time that it's okay, because I never believed that Nelson Mandela is equal to another person Nobel Prize. There are people who have got this Nobel Prize on their own. But no, Nobel Prize got prestige, but it was started by a man who came with dynamite. It's got this thing. And we came along at the time. However, today's land problem is no longer in his hands. It's not an issue whether he apologizes or not. That is irrelevant, whether he apologizes or not. Because, to go forward, we can't say we can't go forward because we're waiting for Mr. de Klerk to apologize and so on. It's irrelevant whether he apologizes or not, because it doesn't do us any good. Maybe he needs it for his funders who are now confused what his foundation stands for, and for other people who support. It may do him good. We are through. He has decided to get off from this train with his bags. He's on that station and the train has left. Yeah. He's not a trusted partner in this thing anymore. And look, I trusted the fact that when we entered into this deal, Mr. de Klerk, blah, 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 we could trust him. And I really liked him as a person. Yeah. I realized that there was a serpent as we're lying there. To come back today to accuse the world as that this was a Soviet Communist Party approach to make this. This was not the Soviet Union thing or the Communist Party, it was the world. Yeah. And to today turn around and say black on black when he knows that the aspirations of people land is the issue. To come back and try to rewrite, to revise, and to revisit history. I've said, you know, this is the gutter.
Yeah.
So you see what he's doing, what this thing plays into. It plays into the hands of, we have accepted people. Now there are people who are saying, you know, because the guillotine did not drop in this country, because we didn't cut necks, which is what normally happens after revolutions. You cut heads. You cut necks. You people on firing squads. We decided not to go through that route, so that let's talk. But the problem is that if you have not cut heads, okay, which cannot talk and their eyes are closed and they're dead, you end up with a situation where the head that should have been cut is now talking. Okay? So it's joined by others, the international community. Pompey is coming in at this time because they realize this land question is critical. Yeah. If it is not solved, if it's not resolved, if we're not able to, in a constructive, in a constitutional manner, okay, but also understanding the social, philosophical, the dimensions, sociological as well, and the history of this country, cultural history of this country, political history of this country, economic history of the country. If you don't understand that it's not just a nice thing, then you miss the question. The deal must be done, not just the land, but the entire economy. Yeah. You know, the majority of the people must be in charge of.
How do you feel in terms of us being on the verge of this land issue? There are a lot of people who are saying this is going to fester social incohesion. Even way before the clerk can speak, they're just saying this is going to cause a war, this is going to fester, whatever else. What's your feeling about whether, first of all, that we have the capacity to implement it, despite that it is belated? And secondly, is there a real possibility of it causing social incohesion?
We are now in government, and the parliament is there, and the ANC is in the majority. It just has to work towards these amendments, which would be crucial for getting other parties together. It's something that can be done. It's something that must be done. And we appeal to other people, landowners, people who we reconcile with in this endeavor of national question. We appeal to those people to understand the predicament in which we are by having let this thing, you know, run so long after the compromise, and now that it was on the back burner, is the fire that is burning us in front now. Yeah. They should understand that that is the situation. Does it affect social cohesion? Yes, it will, if people resist. Hey, let's put it very clear. This is our country. We are people of this continent. You see, we are not going to beg in our own country. People must understand. You can't have people, I know, I've got a farm in some places, 500 hectares here, 250 hectares, that type of thing. You know, 20,000 hectares, 15,000 hectares, one person. You know, they've not
what are they going to do with all of that?
They've not even seen that land. They own that.
They've not even seen it.
Yes, they don't know all their land. They just have 5 hectares where there's development, that type of thing. They plant here and there. But the rest of the land, then they don't know that land. Yeah. Now, I think people should understand that this deal must be done. This deal, there is no way you can retreat from it. But more than land, we're talking about the entire means of production. Yeah. Must come back. That's why you see the EFF. These are children of the ANC. Yeah. They formed an organization on the basis of economic freedom. Yeah. So that political freedom which we have, without economic freedom,
it's meaningless.
That's why they formed an organization, knowing that going forward the ANC will be questioned on the economy. And that's what has given them oxygen to stay alive. Yeah. You know? And so what they did in Parliament. Instead of
Let's take a break. But the reality is the ANC seem to have lost initiative in these latter years, or distracted by largesse, by patronage. That's why there was a space for an EFF that purely or merely just continued the agenda, like you are saying, of where they were born. I want you to tell me frankly what you think about the state of the movement at the moment, faced with all of these challenges that must happen, as you are saying. Are we having an ANC that has the necessary capacity, right, to hold this whole thing together going forward? And I would like to hear your views about that after the break.